Our lesson series is shifting gears as we begin learning about faceplate turning. Today we are turning a small dish or penny plate. That will help us develop skills for bowl turning and other vessels. Let's get started.
Welcome to Turning Stitches, I'm Sean. We help woodturners learn the craft to begin making fun projects faster. Let's keep building on your skills by transitioning to faceplate turning. If you missed our last lesson, making this candlestick holder for your home with much more detailed shapes, you can find it right up here. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to make it easy to follow along with this lesson series. Penny plates are just small dishes and a great place to unload your pockets at the end of the day. They're very simple shapes and a great place to start faceplate turning. So let's go over to the workbench and get everything ready for the lathe. As we start faceplate turning, I'm going to show you two different ways to kind of accomplish each of these projects. Most of our lathes came with a faceplate, and so we're going to use it in the projects, but if you have a four-jaw chuck, like something like this, more than likely you're going to want to use this for these projects. So we're actually going to show you two different methods. We're going to generally do one turning, but we'll show both processes to use either just a faceplate or a four-jaw chuck. When we're using our faceplate, we do have to plan ahead just a little bit. Most of the time with a faceplate, we're going to be using some sort of glue block.
We'll start by finding center on each of our glue blocks. We'll just draw a line with our ruler from corner to corner. Then we'll use our mallet that we made in Lesson 4 and a center punch to mark the center of each of the blocks. With the center established, we'll use a compass to draw a circle as wide as we can on each of the blocks. Then it's over to the bandsaw to rough out each of these circles before we glue everything together.
We're back at the workbench after getting rough circles made out of our blanks. At this point, all we need to do is glue these two pieces together. We want to align the centers as closely as possible. Now on this one, I'm going to go ahead and insert a little piece of paper. This is just notebook paper. You can use a paper bag, craft paper, anything like that, but I'm just going to glue the paper in between the two blocks. And if we need to, when we're finished with our plate, if we need to separate it at that joint, that paper may help us do that without messing up our finished piece too bad. So let's just get some glue on these pieces and get everything aligned and clamped up. We've got our waste block glued to our workpiece, so now all we need to do is attach the faceplate with a few screws. This is also where these little crosshairs where we found center earlier can help, because we can use that to help align the screw holes and at least get close to center. And you want to make sure you use wood screws and not drywall screws with your faceplate. We're finally at the lathe and we've got our blank with our faceplate mounted to the headstock. Our first step is to get this outside diameter round and to flatten this face right here. We'll be turning at about 1,000 RPMs, and normally when we're faceplate turning, we're going to be turning at lower speeds than when we're spindle turning. So let's get the lathe kicked on and start with those two operations. I am using my bowl gouge for this step. And all I want to do is just kind of pick up right out here on the edge. I'm going to use my bevel. I'm just going to pick up the edge and make the cut all the way across. We'll take a couple passes. So to flatten this face, all I need to do is bring my bowl gouge from the center and just work it very easily out here to the edge, kind of a scraping motion. Kind of feel that cut. Another way to do this is to pick up an edge right here, to slice in using our bevel. If I'm using a scroll chuck for this project, what I want to do first is get a tenon on this side over here where the tailstock is. So I'm holding my disc. I don't have my waste block here. And then we'll create a tenon on this side over here, and we'll put the chuck on and hold this piece with the chuck. I've got a line already marked here about 1 inch from the center. I'm just going to kind of connect it, get a circle. That'll give me a kind of a rough idea where I want the tenon. I'm just going to kind of come in here at my line, get a little bit of a shape. Pull that out. And then I want that tenon to be roughly 1/4 of an inch. So I'm just going to slice in from the side with my bowl gouge. I've got my double rubbing back here. I'm just going to bring that right down to about where we cut in there. I need a little more. You want to be patient. Don't want to splinter the wood too much there. So I'm just going to bring this in, kind of using it as a scraper. I've got my angle. It's pretty good for my chuck. I don't really need to change this outside diameter. Okay. And then I'm just going to flatten right here on the inside. Make sure I've got a good flat surface right here. If you're getting value out of the video so far, hit that like button. So I just want to create a small taper. Going slightly deeper as we go along. You're just going to do this by feel a little bit. So you just need a little bit of a taper. That's all we're looking for. Going to do for shape here, let's come in from the edge about 1 inch. Just going to make a mark there, connect it. Oops. So inside here we're just going to dish out this interior just a little bit, not a great deal, but just a small amount. Cut in at our pencil line. I've got kind of a nub in the middle, which is kind of common on a faceplate turning. So now I'm going to use this shop-made depth gauge. And all I'm doing is kind of measuring the depth of my platter or my dish here. It's not going to be a lot, but I've just got this on both edges, and then I've got the rod in the center. So I'm just going to mark that line up here on the top. And then from that line, I want to mark down another 3/8 of an inch. But from this line, this is the depth of where our dish is, where the face of our plate. I'm going to mark down 3/8 of an inch. So now we're going to shift our focus to the back side of our dish. And all of this material below this line right here is going to be waste material. Now ultimately we want the base of our dish to be about 3 inches in diameter, and that's going to be, and in my case it's really close to the diameter of my faceplate. My faceplate is a 3-inch faceplate, so that'll help give me sort of a gauge of that diameter for my plate. So let's get this turned on and start working away some of the waste material on the back side of our dish. Here I'm just working down my waste block a little bit. I'm going to use it as a gauge. Kind of use the waste block as a gauge for the diameter of our base. Okay, so this pretty much gives me the bottom. That's basically where I want the bottom of my little platter, my dish. So now what I want to do is just kind of shape this side away. So the platter doesn't need to be super thick. It needs to be, we need a little meat on it. We don't want it to be too fragile. But we'll just kind of work this edge down toward the, back down toward the center, and we'll just kind of give it a little shape. We'll just kind of give it a little bit of an angle as we go down. Now I'm just going to touch up these edges, this outside edge. I'm going to use my bowl gouge kind of as a shear scraper as I do this, just kind of using the wing in a little scraping motion. I'm going to kind of... Our shaping is basically done. We're in really good shape. You can sand it if you'd like to and finish it. Right down here on this bottom edge is where I'm going to start parting this off. Now, oftentimes, we would just use a parting tool for this cut. The one thing with faceplate work, and when we've got this cross grain, you can kind of see probably in the camera this end grain right here on this board. If I've got my parting tool in here, it's really going to want to grab. It's really not going to want to slice in those areas, and it's going to be kind of a rough cut. So I'm going to go in with my skew chisel and kind of create a V-notch, and we'll just kind of work this down with a bowl gouge here in this waist area, and then cut it off with a saw. So I'm just going to use a V-notch with my skew chisel. So there's our penny plate. All we've got to do is just kind of sand or grind off this nub here on the bottom, and we're ready to go.
So if you did this project with your scroll chuck, once you've got everything shaped, you're going to want to flip it around and remove the tenon. This also works, and in this case I've got that waste material from where we cut this off with the saw. So basically we're just going to use our waste block as a jam chuck. We've got our live center pushed up against it to hold it in place. Now, remember, we don't have a lot of thickness down here on the bottom of the platter, so you can't press too hard or you will crack it. So now we're just going to turn this nub or the tenon away just very, very carefully. Keep practicing. Penny plates are a great place to keep your keys, your change, or just empty your pockets. The guys in your life will love them, so make several of them for gifts. In our next lesson, we'll continue faceplate turning by creating a small lidded box or salt cellar. You'll want some stock that is 3 to 4 inches in diameter and 4 to 6 inches long. Small tree branches make good material for this next project, so make sure you're subscribed to the channel and turn on notifications so you'll know when lesson 8 comes out. And I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next lesson.